Okay, so let's get started right on time. If you want to hear something, you need to put your headphones on. If you don't hear something and you have your headphones on, you have to put up the volume or change the channel. It's on channel 0. Okay, so you all should hear me now. Nice. So we have our next masterclass. We're going to talk about China. Actually, Mooney is going to talk about China in the next 90 minutes. And yeah, enjoy. I'm really happy to welcome you on behalf of OMR and Hamburg Media School. And without further ado, I will hand over to Mooney. Have fun.
Okay. Welcome. So happy to be here. It's an honor that so many people are interested in China and hear me speak. So I hope that this 90 minutes you will learn something. And I hope that also I don't bore you because I've prepared a lot and bring the real cases in order to show you how to really grow your business in China. So everybody can hear me loud and clear, right? Okay. So I don't have to speak even louder. Just let me know. All right, maybe first of all, please allow me to introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Mooney Zhu. You can all call me Mooney. So I am Chinese, as you can tell. So I was born and grew up in China. So I also studied until my bachelor in China. And 15 years ago, I came to Germany to study my master program. And ever since, I happily stuck here in Germany, let's say. Germany has treated me well. And before I have co-founded eTalk 4 years ago, I worked, I think, almost 10 years in large international corporations, Beiersdorf, Henkel, and Tchibo. So I also did the Tchibo China market entry before the company. That's also how we actually had this idea because a lot of companies are really interested in China and want to go to China, but they need some kind of help. That's why we funded this company with my co-founder who actually worked at Alibaba at that time. That's why, yeah, our competences supplement each other. It's a really good combination because I come from the brand side and my co-founder actually today, of course, he's in China and he's heading the team in China. He knows the marketplaces, Alibaba, the digital landscape really well. So that's a little bit about our background. I just realized I actually don't need to rush because we have 90 minutes. So, okay. All right. So let's dive right in. Okay, it works. So today I actually brought 2 cases because there are often 2 kinds of situations. One situation are those brands or retailers, they're interested in China, they want to sell to China, and they think that they really have a potential in China. However, they don't know how to do the market entry, and they don't know, okay, if my products, my brand can really sell in China. So that are those brands who are not in China yet. So I brought the case 1, how to test the market in order to find out if you have really enough potential to do the market entry, and how we have built a case, in just in several months, how to achieve this kind of success, how to build your brand from scratch, right? So, and the second case is that after you have tested your market potential and you've successfully entered into the market, so how to further grow your business, how to maximize your business potential, how to go big in China. How does success look like, right? So I also brought another case, which is a role model success case study we've done. So I actually have chosen 2 cosmetic cases or brands as example to demonstrate. Not because we're only, taking care of the cosmetic brands. It's because cosmetic is one of the biggest categories, and the competition is really strong. That's why all of the brands need to, do everything they can in order to succeed, in this market. So the other categories can actually learn a lot, how they've do their marketing, their sales channel, choose their products, define their pricing. So we will go really deep through this case to show you how you can actually further grow your business, your China business. And they're divided also into different parts that's absolutely necessary for your business. Okay, so let's start with the first case, the new brand, right? So you're not in China yet. We've received this kind of question really often, that a lot of brand and retailers, they come to us, okay, China is so big, and I think that my brands and my products might have a potential there, but I don't know how to find out if my products can sell. So they have heard some common China market entry challenges, right? Probably you also know, for example, the cost is not trivial, it's actually kind of big, and you have a long go-to-market time, and your store traffic doesn't go up, and you don't know how to do it. The market is challenge, despite of the language, the cultural barriers, you have also different kind of digital landscape, different kind of promotion mechanism. Everything's different there. So if you don't really know the market, it's kind of difficult to just go there, right? So and also a lot of brands nowadays complain it's getting more and more difficult to become profitable. And if you are a new brand, it's also very difficult to just say, okay, I checked the competitor products, they're really successful there, so that's why probably I will also sell. So it's kind of, not your real product potential for your brand. And also, if you don't have any brand awareness and a sales record, even if you are trying to find distributors or sales partners, you don't have enough leverage to talk to them, right? So, and also, you don't have any data, and also data is a big problem in China, actually. So in Germany, we have those panel data, the Nielsen data. They're provided to you, and you can, make a proper decision based on those data. But in China, to acquire those data are kind of difficult. But I will also, explain a little bit how to get the data, how we analyze, for example, the market, your competitors, your products. So that's why, we are actually a fan of a test and approve approach. So we always recommend when we get this kind of question, okay, can my product and my brand really sell in China? So I would always recommend to do a kind of a real market test. So only from the market, from the consumers, you can know if your brand and product really have potential. So the consumers, they're honest. The market, they're honest. So only if you are selling there, you see the data, you can tell, okay, well, that's right. My product, they have potential there, and I can invest more and go bigger. So that's why you need a market test, actually. And also, while this test, you can also you are actually selling, right? So you are already building your sales history record, and then a lot of partners will get noticed by your brands, and they will probably come to you and ask for cooperation. So that's also a good foundation in order to increase your leverage in the future partnership. And also, of course, if you have tested enough potential in this phase, you are sure to take more money, and then invest more to do the official China market entry to go big. So that's actually why you need this kind of test, right? So in order to manage your risk, find out your potential step by step. So I think most of you probably, since you are here interested in China, probably already have heard of cross-border e-commerce. But if you haven't heard, let me just quickly summarize what is cross-border e-commerce. So actually, this is why I've founded this company, because more and more companies are making use of this opportunity. There's a huge wave of companies wanting to sell into China because this kind of new market entry opportunity, right? So what does cross-border e-commerce actually mean? So cross-border e-commerce is a newly regulated business model promoted by the Chinese government. It's already there since end of 2012. So this is not something new or not mature. It's a very well-developed business model and with a huge mature infrastructure behind it. And from small to large corporations, everybody is using it. So this is not something that, but probably you only have heard this once. So what does cross-border e-commerce mean? Why it's a new market entry opportunity? It's because it allows international company to sell directly to China online, to the online consumers, without a legal entity, without product registration, and also you don't need to change anything of your product. So do you understand what I mean? So the product as it is, in Germany you are selling, or in Europe, your home market, so you can directly sell to the Chinese consumers as it is. So it makes a lot of things a lot easier, right? So, and you also don't have to, build a legal entity, and there are a lot of favorable, let's say, duty rates, and also the infrastructure is very mature. You have fast lane, custom clearance, all of that. So, but still, I will explain what you normally know and the new business model, cross-border e-commerce, what's the difference? Because both business models are relevant for you, right? So before, I think years ago, a lot of people think, okay, we go to China, we need to, of course, register product. We have to either find a partner there who has a business license or to build up a legal entity on their own in order to sell, right? So that's called the traditional import-export. And that's still relevant because you're going to use it for the Go Big solution later on, because you can reach even more consumers under this business model, right? So, but there are differences. And why is cross-border e-commerce so relevant for you is because it makes the market entry way easier. So you can already test the market with very short go-to-market time, and you have a preferential duty rates. You don't have the legal entity. You don't have to register your product, and you have a fast lane. You have your German bank account. The money can be transferred to you in euro, whatever, right? So it makes a lot of things easier. So that's why you can test the market through the cross-border e-commerce, but at the same time already make a reasonable, profitable business. But later on, if you really want to go way bigger, then you still have to go to the traditional import-export because the users, the local domestic users are way bigger than cross-border e-commerce. So that's actually how it's done, right? So understood with this, these two business models, when you have understood them, then that's the base we're going to use, and actually everybody does, use for their China market entry. Okay, so for the first case, there's of course a market test, how to test the market, and it's based on the cross-border e-commerce model, right? So before we talk about the case, maybe I give you an overview about the platforms. So here I need to explain a little bit because the market is totally different. So the market itself is dominated by marketplaces. So Tmall, Kaola, JD, and everything. So the whole Chinese market is dominated by the marketplaces, right? Similar to Amazon, but totally different, let's say. But I will explain also later why it's different. So we all know, if you are already selling in Germany, you probably are very familiar with the web shop solution, right? So you have a web shop, and you sell through your own dedicated web shop to your consumers, right? So, but in China, this web shop solution, I actually already tell our clients at the very beginning, it won't work. You can build a web shop, that's for sure, the solutions are there, but you won't have enough money to drive traffic to the web shop. So that's the key. That's why the marketplaces are dominating the market. So you can build for example, a brand flagship store, which is similar to a web shop, directly inside of the, let's say, Alibaba ecosystem under the B2C platform, Tmall, right? So that's actually how it works, just from the general environment point of view. Yes. So Tmall Global, which belongs to the Alibaba Group, is the biggest platform. And Kaola was also, acquired already by Alibaba Group, and these two platforms already kind of merged together. And the JD, you probably also have heard of this kind of platform, which, you can say the third or the second. And this top 5 platform account for over 80% of the market share for the cross-border e-commerce. So later on, I will also show you the domestic platform. They are slightly different, but the big players are there. They're just, the Alibaba Group, JD, right, ByteDance, WeChat, but we will repeat them again and again. So as you can see, the cross-border e-commerce users already reached over 150 million, but China has 1.5 billion, right? So that's what I'm talking about. If you want to go bigger, then later on, the traditional import-export, you can reach all the consumers, 1.5 billion people there. But this is already quite significant. Yes, so how to do this? As you remember, I explained, so you can already directly sell to the Chinese consumers, but there's a precondition, which is that you have to get yourself listed on an authorized platform. That's the platform we just have seen, right? I cannot just build a platform by myself and ask you all list the product on my platform. So the platform are actually authorized also by the government. So you need a sales channel, right? You need to choose your product, send your product to China, and you need to, of course, do marketing to promote your product. So that's basically how you sell, right? So that's the steps that you need to do. So we have simplified the process. So basically, the time to market can be done already in 4 to 6 weeks. So it's really fast, right? Today, you make a decision, I want to sell to China via cross-border e-commerce. Actually, it can be done in 4 to 6 weeks. So there are some major steps. As I already explained, you need actually a shop to list your products. Either you have your own shop. Later, I will explain that as well, right? But now, to build a shop by yourself, it will cost way more money. So either you look for an existing shop to list your products. For example, we have a shop. There are a lot of other distributors. They have their shops to list your products there so that they are available. Tmall also has, for example, a program that you can just directly plug in and then upload your products, which is also a solution. So you have solved the sales channel problem, right? So the second is, of course, what products to test. So most of the brands probably have way more products, 100 products, 200, 5,000 products. So you cannot just test all of them, and then your complexity will be huge. So in China, there is one rule I think everybody would agree, is that to build top sellers. So you need to actually build top sellers, because your top sellers will make 60 to 80% of your whole sales later on. So that's why it's important now at this stage, saying, okay, I choose some potential top sellers and I test them. So this makes a lot of things easier, right? And then for the purpose of the fast test, you can send your products already through air freight to China. And of course, your products, the concept, the product detail page, and your brand story needs to be adapted into a China context, that's for sure. And you have to go through a Tmall listing process. Then actually, it's already there for the custom clearance takes only 1 week, actually. So basically, you can be there and available for the Chinese consumers in 4 to 6 weeks. It's that simple. So when you are already available on the market, on the platform, right? So the second step is, of course, to do marketing. So now I show you the case, what we have done. And then in order to show you the real cases, how to build up a brand, because there are so many, let's say, marketing measures. But to make everything a little bit easier, you just have to remember 2 things that's important doing marketing. So one thing is the performance marketing you have to do inside of the Alibaba ecosystem, let's say. we take Alibaba as example because there are so many platforms. We just take the number one, okay? That's similar to the, let's say, Google ads, Facebook ads, cost per click, all of those things that you are familiar with. So it's just inside of the Alibaba ecosystem. So there's a marketing technology platform, which is called Alimama, provided by Alibaba for those marketing measures that you have to do. Performance marketing, important, right? So the second one is social media, which is not new, right? So there are different kind of things that you need to do on the social media, and there are so many platforms you can use. In China, we will come to that one by one. Okay. So I brought this case is a sunscreen case. So actually, we just started work with them last year. So we did this market test for them through the real sales, right? So this is a very small brand. Actually, my former Biosoft colleague actually founded this brand, and now they're getting more and more successful, and we made them really successful in China as well in just several months. So because sunscreen is, of course, a seasonal product, right? So in the summer months, more products will be purchased. That's understandable. So what we've done, you can see the development of the sales is that, well, we started with zero, of course. Nobody knows this brand before, zero brand awareness. Nobody knows the product because they're not selling it there yet, and they're not big enough so that people already heard of them because they're from Germany, UK, already in the market are big. So zero brand awareness, and we actually tested 2 products for them and built up the sales along with the time. So started in July, and then we come to the winter months. But now the summer months also started. We are already selling over 1,500 pieces per month, and the sales will go like this, afterwards, because the summer months is arriving in the most areas of China, so their sales will go naturally up. But to build up a sales record like this in several months is very, very difficult. Actually, I know very few brands, with zero brand awareness just enter the market, and several months later they're selling, thousands of pieces per month. That's actually not that easy because their offer on the market are gigantic, right? So what did we do for them? At the beginning, then we come to the marketing measures one by one. So at the beginning, nobody knows the brand, the products. So what we've done is that we did live streaming. You've heard of live streaming already, right? It's quite popular. Everybody is learning from China, and it's gigantic. And also, let's say live streaming is one of the most effective sales-driven marketing measure in China. So it's not the same as you see in Germany, the teleshopping, as we know, right? So it is really, let's say, entertaining, engaging, and also they often offer exclusive discounts or giveaways in this live streaming session. And they're engaging all the time with their audience. So the Chinese, let's say the Chinese consumers are getting more and more lazy because they have so massive offers given to them. So they don't want to just search by themselves anymore. They want products presented by somebody, explained in several sentences to the point, saying why you should buy this product. So that's why this live streaming works. So we started with live streaming, introduced this product to the Chinese consumers. We also did a free sampling campaign so that people, first started using the products, because that's their, first several sales you really need to generate so that people are convinced that, okay, I should use this product. Somebody needs to make their first order, actually, right? And one important factor is that the Chinese consumers, they actually are really easily influenced by the reviews as well. So they actually read the reviews. That's why the free sampling campaign is really important to generate also good reviews, the honest feedback, so that the sales can can be built on that, right? So that's the first step we've done. During this phase, 2 to 3 months, we also generated a lot of valuable, honest consumer feedback. So what we've done is that we actually, adapted those feedback into the product story. So we understood better what the consumers really want, actually. So then we made the product story, the product detail page, sharper, to the point, directly addressed to the consumer's needs, so they understood this even better and then placed more sales. And this is a really good preparation for Double 11. Anyone who doesn't know Double 11, I think everybody probably already heard of Double 11. It's the biggest e-commerce event in the world, actually. So it's Cyber Monday and Black Friday combined 3 times. And every year there's new record for Double 11, right? Singles Day, it's called. So actually every brand prepare themselves for this huge event. Probably you would make 30 to 40% of your whole annual sales just in this event. So that's a little bit, explanation about Double 11. That was a good preparation for this huge event. Even though that was in November, it was actually a winter month, right? The sales actually increased significantly to over 500 pieces per month. So with 500 pieces per month, the product is already quite good. You've built a really good base, right? So you get noticed by the KOLs as well. And because the market is already proof that your product has good potential, and they started to grow even faster after that. And that's what we've done. So we improved the product story, the selling points, and we increased the sales record to over 500 per month, right? And we made a successful Double 11, although that was really short time before that, first Double 11. And then we have the foundation to pitch the good KOLs. So everybody have heard of KOL, right? Key opinion leaders, so influencers, basically. They have a fancy name in China, key opinion leaders. So these key opinion leaders, I don't know how many influencers are out there, millions, probably. And then they have, of course, like different kind of focus, and also they're big, small, different kind of, they're different sizes, let's say. You really need to have a good KOL strategy in order to promote your product. Everybody will say, okay, you go to China, you need to cooperate with KOL. But with whom? So who will help me to build and they have different kind of prices, right? So if I'm a big KOL and I naturally have a lot of selections, and I won't work with brands or products who has no good reputation, no sales record, because that's going to damage my reputation as well, right? So if we have built the base foundation, increased the sales record, proved by the market, very good feedback, then we can pitch those good KOLs. So we actually successfully pitched many of them, and they started promoting our products. So that's why now we see a huge peak, because they're endorsed by those KOLs, and it's really effective. It's getting effective. You're not spending money for nothing, right? So now, with the push of the KOLs, the sales already reached over 1,500, in the first summer months already. And then I'm sure that the sales will go even higher. You can probably sell 50,000 pieces, 100,000 pieces per month in China. So it's beyond everybody's imagination, let's say. Yes, so that's what we've done for them. So what we have achieved in this case market test, we spent very little money in the marketing budget. We've tested it several months. We successfully built this product, and now they're ready, right? The potential is proven. The product is proven. Feedback is great. We have a score 4.9 out of 5. They're ready for big steps, go big solution. So that's the second case, what I will talk about. So how do I grow further? Because I'm not satisfied with 1,500. I want to go bigger. I want to conquer the whole China, right? So the brands. So let's go to the second cases. Yeah, after a successful test and market entry, now it's time to plan bigger and go bigger. So first of all, let me show you how does success look like, right? So there are always massive numbers when it's related to China. So how much can a brand achieve in several years, let's say, right? So I brought this case from Flagship, which is a French cosmeceutical brand. Probably all of people know this brand. They're also, let's say, famous in Europe, but not the toppest 10 or 100. I don't know if they are even make the top 100 list in the Europe, but they're huge success in China. So yes, I've mentioned the web shop solution, actually, right? So you shouldn't choose a web shop. You should build up a shop in their platforms, in the ecosystems, Alibaba, JD, WeChat, Little Red Book. So now I have to explain you what does this web shop mean. So in China, they have, again, a fancy name. It's called brand Flagship store. So basically also like a web shop, but inside of Alibaba ecosystem or JD ecosystem or WeChat. So the target is to later build on your own dedicated brand flagship store, right? So that's what Flagship actually did. So after this successful test and the successful market entry, they started to expand into different kind of channels. So they built a Tmall flagship store global, through the cross-border e-commerce. They built also a domestic flagship store, and they work with, as you can see, various distributors on the platform as well. And they have a brand flagship store on JD, and they also built a flagship store on through the mini program, WeChat mini program, on WeChat, and also on the biggest content seeding platform, Little Red Book. Similar to, let's say, Instagram, but also with a lot of pictures, but with more words, let's say. So the biggest word-of-mouth content seeding platform. So WeChat, you all know, right? Everybody knows that. It's the biggest super app, 1.2 billion, users. Yeah. So what kind of sales performance does Flagship have right now? So the French cosmeceutical brand with a patented formula, NCEF. It will be repeated a lot of times throughout their marketing strategy. But let's take a look at their sales. So I mentioned about data at the very beginning, right? So in China, to acquire real sales data and market data is kind of difficult. There are different kind of data resources. So on Tmall, you actually can see the real sales of each product, but just for the past 30 days. It's visible to everyone. So you can actually, so that's how we acquired the data actually, so the latest data. But on JD, you can only see how many people placed a review. So it doesn't match one-to-one, to your sales record, actually, right? So that's why the data on Tmall is, let's say, the most reliable source to estimate their sales. But if of course, you have a shop, you have the back-end data, you can see the real sales data by yourself. But if you want to see the competitor data and the market data, there are different kind of ways to acquire them. Either you purchase a third-party crawling data, but they're only like 90% for correct for Tmall, and for JD even lower. And for the back end, for the competitors, they are using the index data. So that's kind of not so reliable. Based on our experience, and also, of course, we have acquired the real sales data. So for those 2 flagship stores on Tmall, they will make over 25 million euros. And for the whole China business, I think they probably achieved 85 million. So which is for let's say middle-sized company is huge, right? Annual sales 85 million euros. That's pretty good. Yes. Actually this one just to show you their sales, how their sales are generated, because I mentioned before to build top sellers are really, really important. So Filloga, of course, also have built their top sellers. So on their Tmall Global Shop, as you can see, their top 3 sellers already make over 75% of the whole store sales. And on the Tmall, they make even more, almost 90% of the whole store sales, right? So it's very important to build their top sellers. And as you can see, the top sellers sell way more than the long tail products, actually. And they will drive the traffic to the store as well. And the price for the Filloga products are not cheap, let's say. Right. So this kind of phenomenal success is built, of course, based on a very well-developed strategy and perfect execution. So we have chosen some major aspects to show you how they have built, right? So the first important question is, how do I define my price? A lot of brands come to us saying, okay, we're selling 5 euros in Germany, in Europe. How much should I sell in China? Do they pay more? Do they pay less? Can they afford it? So that's the very often, very frequently raised question. So let's take a look how Filloga define their pricing. So we've chosen different kind of categories. As you can see, toner, cream, serum, and eye cream, in order to show you how much markup. Yes, markup. You have heard it right. They sell it more expensive in China than in their home market, and that's very common. So actually, because you will have more costs, international expansion, you have logistic, long way, right? You have to pay the taxes and everything. So you have to pay the team, your marketing, of course. And the Chinese consumers, they accept this kind of price, and that's common for them. So as you can see, Filloga applies, in average, over 40% as a markup. So they're way more expensive than they're selling in their home market. So, and that's common. But, well, Tmall Global actually has a very clear recommendation. If you don't know your category, so probably around 20 to 30%, you can, add on your home market price to cover your costs, but don't make 200%. Okay, because there are some brands, they did this, and the consumers, they're not stupid. So it's just one click away. It's a little bit more expensive. They accept that, but it's 200. They will say, don't fool me, right? So to give you this idea, and also why this price markup is important is because you will have a lot of promotions. You will say, okay, I will also have a lot of promotions in Germany, but not as much, not as many promotions as in China. So actually, basically, every month there's a promotion or several promotions, and we have this Double 11, I already explained, the biggest e-commerce event in the world, and you will have the 618, which is mid-year big promotion. So Chinese New Year, Women's Day, whatever. So those are called super level promotions. But then you will have A+ level promotions. And we even have like 3 Valentine's Day in China, okay? So there's a Western one. There's 20th of May. You heard of it? Just in 2 days, right? Because the number sounds like I love you, right? So it's also becoming a Valentine's Day as a big promotion there. And then we have the Chinese Valentine's Day. So I think the Chinese need a lot of reasons to just celebrate and shop. So that's why. And then you have a lot of, like every month, a lot of category-related promotions you should probably attend. So that's why. And you will have to give different kind of promotions for that. That's why your markup is important. But then also very important to define a pricing system. So there's not only just one price. You have to define, okay, how much discount do I want to give when there's a small promotion? How much do I want to give when there's a big promotion? Right? So we've made like 2 examples from a new brand and also a category leader, what they've done, how much they want to give as discount, and how much, let's say, markup they've applied for their products in China. So as you can see, okay, they applied 40%, 50% as markup, but then in the promotions, for the small promotion, they will give 15% discount, and then for the big promotion, like Double 11, even 40%, right? So then there's kind of a balance there. Yeah, I think that's probably everything you need to know about pricing, how to define your price. Yes, okay, now we've defined our China price system. We need to understand about the channels and also how to choose the assortment allocated to different channels. Should I make a difference across different kind of channels? Should I use all the assortments across the various channels? So what is it? What is the right strategy, right? So I will show you here, and also where to start. Is it Tmall? Is it JD? Is it WeChat? Is it Little Red Book? So let's find out. But first of all, there's I'm always a very structured person, so trying to explain you with a lot of logic. First of all, I think a lot of brands or retailers need to understand, okay, how do I want to work with the partners, right? So do I want to build up my shop, have this kind of huge setup on my own? Do I need a partner, like a distributor? So I've listed the pros and cons of this kind of models because that's the most common models, right? So a lot of brands decided to choose a distributor at the beginning because it's easier, for sure, right? Somebody takes care of my brand and I just need to deliver the products, for sure. But also, of course, there are some disadvantages. Then you will lose your control of your brand in the market, that's for sure. You don't have direct feedback interaction with your consumers there, and distributor can basically do everything what they want. So based on your own situation, you need to first make this kind of decision. Do I want to work with, hand over my license, let's say, or the rights of, marketing and sell my brand, my products in China to a distributor, or do I want to take control, do it by myself? But I think the decision is really based on the development stage of yourself, of your brand. At the beginning, maybe you don't have enough resources to do all of that. Then you can start with the distributor, but later on you see, the potential is huge, and China has become a priority market, and then a lot of brands choose to take back the control and then do everything on their own. That's also a common way, let's say. Yes, you already seen this chart. I just want to refresh your memory because now we're going a little bit deeper. So that's the cross-border e-commerce platforms, right? So ranked according to their market share. And here, this overview shows you the domestic platform. So they're slightly different, but more or less also a lot of familiar players you have already seen. So Tmall belongs to Alibaba Group, so they have Tmall Global, which is the biggest cross-border e-commerce platform. Then you have Tmall Domestic, which is the biggest, domestic e-commerce platform. Then you have JD, which also appear as the second, third place, actually, in the cross-border e-commerce. But then here you have Pinduoduo, which is a way, let's say, a perfect execution of social commerce. So basically, you have to, recommend your friends and then build a group in order to get a cheaper price of the products. But let's not, get lost in those all kinds of platforms. If you're interested in particular platform, you can come back to me later on. But let's take, as usual, Tmall as example to show you the cases, but I will also, explain you what, for example, Viloga did with other platforms because they are also very important. All right, because I have chosen cosmetic as the category to demonstrate, but I'm sure that you are from different kind of categories, just to give you a little bit impression, okay, where to start. That's the question. Okay, should I first launch on Tmall? Should I first launch on JD? Just a small reference for you, for different kind of categories in case you find yours there. But if you don't find yours there, you can come back to me later on and we can discuss about it. So as you can see, the sizes, these are part of the data of the mid-year sale, right? 618, just to show you, okay, how big is or how strong is the category on different platforms. Tmall and JD, the first and second biggest platform in China. So as you can see, for home and appliance, JD is actually way bigger than Tmall. So you might get some indication where you want to start if you have a home appliance product. But if you are, for example, skincare, fragrance, makeup, personal care, or personal care, almost the same. But for the skincare, fragrance, obviously Tmall has bigger share in this category. So consumers, which means also consumers usually go there to buy those categories, right? Okay. Right. Okay, so Filorga had those shops, but they have a very well-developed strategy when to build which shop. So they have a Tmall shop, Tmall Global shop, JD shop. So they actually have launched the Tmall shop first, already in 2015. So that's their first market entry, first big presence in China online in 2015. It's not that long ago, right? So it's only 6-7 years and now reached 85 million euro sales. That's actually not bad. So then they have launched 3 years later also the Tmall Global, and also at the same time the JD shop as well. But actually the products allocated in those shops are naturally the second question comes with it. Okay, I have so many shops, and the consumers are more or less the same, not totally the same, but I have a Tmall app, I have a JD app, I have different kind of apps, and I can buy actually everywhere, right? So how to differentiate my assortment? That's the question. So as you can see that they play very strong their top sellers. They've already built across all channels, but also they make small differentiations in different channels in order to test the product also, and also to build some, differences to drive specific traffic specifically to the store, as you can see. But in general, you don't have to say, okay, I'm only selling these 5 products on Tmall and the other 5 on JD, right? In order to keep everything totally separate. No, you want to, have the majority of your assortment placed across all channels, but make also some differences in order to attract specific consumers. So that's the logic. Actually, this logic Filorga played is not the a usual case, because they have built Tmall shop first and then Tmall Global shop. But the normal way is that, as I explained before, you test your markets through cross-border e-commerce, and then you go to the domestic import and export. So that's why I bought another case, which is also very successful, a Japanese brand, Dr. Silabo. They actually first opened their Tmall Global, test the products, transfer them also to the domestic, test further more products on Tmall Global, and then transfer them to Tmall, again, JD domestic shop. Right? So that's actually the usual way to do it. So why did Filorga have a different path? That's because they already did offline tests, and they're already sure. They have huge potential in China. That's why they, at the very beginning, already went for the go big solution. So, but the usual way is Tmall Global. You go there through cross-border e-commerce, and then you build, let's say, continuously, step by step, your domestic shops to go bigger. Right. So we're coming to marketing strategy. What did they do? Under marketing, So before I dive into marketing, I want to explain a, let's say, very important factor, because you all know, you are all probably familiar with Amazon, right? So Amazon product detail page is basically, we call it very simple. You have 5 pictures probably, and then you have a short description, and that's about it, actually. But in China, your product detail page is way more detailed, way longer, and let's scroll down, scroll down, and scroll down. That's why you need a lot of detailed information to demonstrate every details, every sales argument of your brand, your product, in order to convince the consumers. So as you can see, a lot of pictures, a lot of data, figures. The more concrete, the better. A lot of evidence explaining of their technology and the ingredient, how it works, and everything. The endorsement. So we can actually also go to the next slide. We have made a structure out of it. So what do they need? What do you need in order to build your product detail page in China to convince the Chinese consumers? Because it's totally different from your Amazon page. You need to make big effort on that. Your key visual is very important. Fancy pictures or videos, very important. You need to address what kind of market challenge you are addressing, right? And then how do you solve this problem? Why exactly your product is solving this problem to, your arguments, your core ingredients, your formula, your technology, and also endorsement is very important. A lot of brands ask us, okay, we only have cooperation in Europe. We're not in China yet or work with any KOLs. That's not a problem. Any endorsement you can use. Probably also a lot of Chinese people, consumers, they know some of the KOLs, even though they don't know that. There's kind of proof there to show, okay, my brand is proven by the market in Europe, and now we're coming to China to bring you the good stuff, right? So, and you also have to have a lot of extended information, and very importantly, explain your brand history, your story, as comprehensive as possible. People identify with your product, they are convinced by your product, but also they need to find an association with your brand. So everything is very emotional, right? I can identify myself with the brand. I naturally like their products. So that's actually the logic. We've summarized what you need to put in your product detail page. So basically, there's 7 elements that you need to have in your product detail page, and the orders might be different from product to product, but the logic are basically the same, right? And they need to work coherently as a story in a very logic way. I read this product detail page, I am convinced step by step. That's the target you want to achieve. Right, so finally we're coming to the marketing part. So you know that all those tools that we are using in Europe, in the Western world, they basically don't exist in China. So in China, their own tools and digital landscape, the whole ecosystem. So I have listed some of the major platforms, major social media or e-commerce platforms, because why they're kind of mixed together, because the target, for example, in Europe we have, let's say, Facebook, Amazon, they're different tools, right? But although Facebook, they are trying to also sell their products directly already on their platform, but in China it's actually every platform aims to build an ecosystem. So they want to keep the consumer in their ecosystem as long as possible, from their awareness to the interest, to the purchase, to the loyalty. I have every functionality to keep the consumer in their ecosystem. So that's actually what, for example, WeChat is doing, Alibaba is doing, and of course TikTok. Everybody knows in China is called Douyin, right? So they're trying to build this kind of ecosystem from, to generate your attention and to convert you and to keep buying the product in this platform. So they're building this kind of this ecosystem. That's why you probably also heard a lot of rumors that they don't work with each other, which was true. It's getting better, but still this walled garden is there. And if you, let's say, got attention, you got noticed by a product at Little Red Book, you can probably not directly go to their Tmall shop. You need to, go out of the app and then go to Tmall to search for them. So there's, very difficult to build you can build a link, but it's kind of difficult to just switch to another platform. So that's actually a little bit background knowledge. WeChat, TikTok, Tmall, and then Baidu is the biggest search engine, similar to Google, but totally different, actually. But you can first understand it as a search engine because that's the different kind of search engine. But Baidu has over 70% of the market share, so that's the biggest search engine in China. And you have Weibo, which is like Chinese Twitter, like short text and public. Everybody can go on it, and a lot of KOLs, they work with brands on their Weibo, Chinese Twitter, right? And Little Red Book. This one, I already mentioned, also very important, is the biggest content seeding platform in China. And Bilibili is like young people's YouTube, let's say. Put it very simple. Generations, their audience there are very, very young, and they're posting videos and entertain each other like YouTube. And Zhihu is a professional and educational content, which is often very relevant for B2B clients, let's say B2B brands and retailers. Yes, but the major shopping destination is still Tmall and JD, right? Because they're the biggest. So a lot of people ask me, okay, I already have a shop on WeChat, so why isn't it enough? Because WeChat, okay, you build a shop. Only if I know your name, your brand, and I search your name, you will pop up. Otherwise, it's not like a Tmall. Tmall is like a mall, right? I go there, I look around, I check what I can buy. I just want to spend some money, and I discover you. So it's a public domain. The traffic is way bigger. So that's why the major shopping destination is still like Tmall and JD. So that's why you need to start. If you want to go big, and later on, you should definitely go there. Right, so what did Filloga do? They're, of course, present on the most important platforms like WeChat, Weibo, Douyin, and Little Red Book. And as we already mentioned, they have different kind of flagship stores on Tmall, JD, right? WeChat, and Little Red Book. But from the marketing perspective, they're, of course, also very aggressive, doing their marketing communication across different major platforms like WeChat, Weibo, Douyin, and Little Red Book. So on WeChat and Weibo, they're focusing on attracting new followers and also providing benefits. We'll come to that later. And also on the on Weibo and Douyin, they have different kind of strategies for different platforms in order to achieve different kind of marketing targets. But their message are always very consistent. So French laboratory brands, very advanced R&D capacity, and also their patented core ingredient, NCEF, and build their top sellers, communicate, repeat this message over and over again to different consumers across different platforms, and then people are buying that. That's how it works. Yes. So this part is to emphasize, again, this ecosystem thinking, right? So they are trying to, of course, keep the consumers in one app as long as possible. So they've built different shops in different platforms. They have a WeChat shop, TikTok shop, and also Little Red Book shop, and also major sales channel, Tmall, JD. Everywhere you go there, as long as you got noticed or paid attention to their products, you probably would convert at the end because they made everything so convenient. Yes, so the story between different kind of platforms, I already mentioned actually. So what they are talking about from different kind of platform, you can see their story is always very consistent, talking about, okay, why we are so professional, right? Why we have the best technology, why does this ingredient work? How is the, how does it exactly work and proven by numbers? All of that across different kind of channels. So what did they do on WeChat? So CRM is important. I think I don't have to emphasize that. So they're doing a lot of different kind of campaigns in order to, keep their consumers and make them become a fan, repurchase again and again. For example, what they do on WeChat, just to give you an impression. So they actually hand out a lot of free trials. Free trial is a good thing, right? Everybody wants something for free. So if I get a product for free, I like it. And they actually appointed a welfare officer, just to give you benefits. So that's the key point of doing this, but they made it official. They take it seriously. And then they invite, of course, the followers to join different kind of groups, right? And they actually developed a different kind of membership grade. So I can upgrade myself when I engage more and with this brand and also purchase more products with that. There's some challenge there. So I'm motivated to become a gold member of Philoga, let's say, right? So that's our psychology that you are using, but they really execute this perfectly. And they, of course, if you receive the free examples, I naturally want to share something and also, show the other people on Little Red Book saying, hi, Philoga has given me this wonderful eye cream. Now all my wrinkles has gone. So posting some pictures, share just with the community. That's how it's done at social media. The logic is the same, right? Doesn't matter if it is in Europe or in China. So, but how to execute this, that's the key point. Right. And also, on the Little Red Book, what they did is that every Monday is called Benefits Day. So on Monday, I give out benefits. Naturally, people are waiting there, right? If I'm an influencer, I also want to be there if I want to grow my followers and, in order to increase the engagement and stickiness of my followers, of course, I try to provide some benefits, and they made it official and as a topic again. So what they do is that every Monday they give out benefits. So huge investment, but also it's totally worth it because people like this kind of stuff, right? So they go there and then they get these benefits. They post again on social media, and the volume about this brand is getting bigger and bigger, and everything will pay back later on to your sales. Right? And also they adapted some new technology to, because the young people, of course, like those kind of technology, they have developed this kind of AI technology to test the skin and everything. So huge involvement. That's how big brand is doing this kind of fancy stuff, right? So actually, we're coming to the end. Because now the question is, or we have received very often, is that, okay, you told us how to invest into the market, let's say, and we need to, of course, plan our marketing budget. But I don't know how much should I plan for each part. Right? I've mentioned the social media, e-commerce marketing, which is the performance marketing. I've mentioned it before. So just to give you some reference in order to show you what is the percentage other brands are planning for different parts of their marketing, right? For example, for a mature brand, they've planned 35 to 40% of their marketing budget on social media. And then they planned 10 to 15% for those paid ads on the platform, right? And for another brand, they're similar, but then they're putting even more budget on the social media part. Yes, that's about it. So that's why they're so successful, and I hope you can take something with you and then make your brand as successful as possible. So any questions? Oh. Yeah. Oh. I hear myself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So you mentioned, first of all, thank you very much. That's incredibly comprehensive, and I think we all learned at least one or two things here. So thank you very much for this extremely, comprehensive expose. I guess my question was, initially at the beginning, you basically mentioned that for new brands, it's actually worth it to just do a market test into by doing e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce, right? And you mentioned that basically most of the big players, big domestic players, have mimicked their own platforms to address only cross-border products, which makes up about, I think, 150 million addressable consumers, which, if I'm correct, that's about 10% of the whole China population.
Right.
Is there any kind of target audience skewing into the 150 million consumers? If I'm a brand that, specifically I'm thinking if I'm a brand that is addressing a very specific target audience, is it possible that the appeal and let's say positive feedback I get from this kind of cross-border e-commerce platforms might be actually different when I'm starting to actually scale into domestic platforms because the people are just different there?
Yeah. Oh, I need to take this down because it's very loud. Very good question, actually. So thank you very much for that. Let's put it in this way. I try to always answer the question as simple as possible, right? So basically, if you are an international brand, the cross-border e-commerce consumers, they are naturally actually most probably suitable for your brands because those consumers are those who are, they prefer international brands. So that's why they want to buy international products through cross-border e-commerce, actually. But there are definitely differences between the audience, like between the cross-border e-commerce audience and the domestic audience. First of all, the size, you have noticed this very right. The domestic the audience is, of course, 10 times bigger. And also, for example, the educational level is that the cross-border e-commerce audience, they are slightly higher educated in average, right? So because they have this kind of perspective, also wanting the international products, and their also average income is also higher, so they can also afford more expensive products. So actually, they're a very good base for you to test. But then later on, and this is also, if you will succeed already in this kind of audience group, I don't think you have to worry. Actually, later on in the bigger audience, they're just even more, let's say, even more different, in different kind of profiles. But they're definitely also can have a lot of similarities to those audience in the cross-border e-commerce audience. So they're not just selected people there, but slightly different with a smaller group, but still huge. But then later on, you will definitely also succeed in the domestic market for sure. Right.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the real precious insights you've given us. Can you give us some insights about the differences between B2B and B2C? Because you obviously talked about B2C.
Yes. Right. So, we must say that the B2B clients are also getting more and more relevant, let's say, using those kind of digital channels. Because as you know, that the B2B, of course, people like or prefer their personal connections, right? You go to a trade fair right? To know the people, to go to your target audience, your buyers, your suppliers, all of that, and that still remains. But in the past 3 years, that was not as possible as before. So those kind of digital channels are getting more and more important. And for sure, there are different tools that you can use or doing different kind of marketing measures to attract your B2B target audience than the B2C. Actually, that's kind of totally different, let's say, ways or methods that you should use. For example, the platform, as I mentioned very shortly, the Zhihu, right, is a knowledge crawl, like a Q&A platform. So you, for example, as a B2B expert in your industry, you place a question or you answer questions people raised very specifically about your industry, then you will naturally raise a lot of attention there, for sure, right? And also, how to reach those B2B clients. Baidu is also a very good way to reach them. It's even more important than for the B2C clients. People are searching for credible information on the internet and have a very reliable and trustworthy, authentic, good quality website so that it can be indexed on the search engine, also very important. But based on different kind of industries, we can have another talk because that will take more than 1 hour to explain the whole methods. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody else who has a question?
Munif, first of all, a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much for the insights. In the strategies, pretty much understandable and clear. First question would be, would you think that this kind of strategy will be applicable for another kind of challenging markets like BRIC countries, Brazil, India, or something like that? The first question. And the second, in the B2B business, we have here in Germany a lot of companies on the machinery and a lot of kind of brands pretty much recognized and interested in the Chinese market, for example. Do you have this kind of experience that you could maybe just brief us about that?
Yes. Yes. Okay, we're back to the B2B question. But first of all, the first question. I think the structure of the methodology are similar. But I, of course, must admit that I don't know so well the other BRIC countries, right? Because they have different kind of ecosystem. But let's say, the basic structure, how to do marketing and everything, sales channels, I think that's similar. But I don't want to, talk about stuff that are not on my expertise to mislead you. So, but for the B2B part, you want a case that how to address those B2B clients, right? Maybe I talk a little bit more about those B2B clients. Yes, we have also B2B clients. They have a lot of like industry products. And those kind of products, let's say, are generally not as sexy as a skincare, right? It's difficult to promote them, that's for sure. So that's why it's even more important actually to find your target audience first, then to address to them in a more effective way. So what we normally do is, for example, we help this brand first to understand, okay, how does the industry look like? And who are the players in this industry, and who are making the decision in this industry, and how do they acquire information to make the decision, for example, to purchase your machine, right? And then how to reach them and convince them. So we do this in a kind of expert interview way. Let's say, so we invite different kind of industry expert in your industry in China, and then we have one-on-one interviews to them in order to find out the structure, to understand how do they acquire the information, and where do they get them, and how to convince them in order to design their digital strategy to reach them. So, but then I actually need another session to explain how to reach them, but we can talk later also But that will be the first step in order to understand the logic. And yes, we have helped a lot of brands, B2B clients, to be successful as well, to find their targeted audience and also to engage with them, convert them in that way.
Anyone else? No? Somebody still? Ah. You waited until I was on front, right?
Wanted to give somebody else a chance. Would you have any kind of pointers or any kind of opinion onto when it becomes crucial, when it becomes a critical point to actually set up an operation in mainland China? So when it becomes actually relevant to open an office, and what are the determinants of that? Is it operational? Is it on marketing side and production of ads? Is it on the logistics sides? What are the critical points that should lead up to actually setting up operation in the domestic space?
Oh, okay. I actually first need to understand your question a little bit better. So you mean set up the operation means set up a legal entity or set up a team?
An actual team in mainland China. Basically, from which point on does an international brand need to actually set up an operation in China physically on soil?
So actually, if it is possible, I always recommend already from the very beginning, right? Because then you get a contact, of course, with the Chinese consumers, with all the partners, with all the platforms. You gather a lot of insights. You understand your brand how it performs, how it develops in the Chinese market. But in most cases, that's not possible. And also, of course, this is a cost question. Where do I find this resource and how much it would cost to maintain a team in China is also not that simple. And normally, you need a legal entity to hire those team. Of course, you can use third party to hire those team, but there are a lot of different questions needs to be clarified first. But if you already see your product or your brand has enough potential there, actually that's the point you actually need to consider to set up a own operation in China on site by yourself. It is always more control. A lot of brands work with distributors and has lost a lot of transparency and understanding about the market. And then some of them make good sales, but they don't know, is it everything I can get from China? So is my potential already fully explored? Or do I actually have more? So these kind of questions, normally you don't get the answers from your dishonest distributor, actually. So this needs to be found out and operated by your team. So if you take the business, the China market seriously, you need to set up the operation. If it is becoming a priority market, so that's the time that you need to do that. Yeah.
Cool. Somebody else? Okay, so I would say 3, 2, 1. This was your last chance. So now you can leave now. Please leave your headphones where you found them, which is on your seat. Don't go away with the headphones. We need those. Okay? Thank you for your attention. Thank you to Mooney, I would say.
Thank you.
And yeah, have a nice rest of the day. Enjoy.